Hey everyone, welcome to this exciting workshop session. I'm Daniela Passos, I'm part of the team here at Hashnode. I'm the DevRel at Hashnode, and our mission is to empower developers across the globe, providing a space to share, learn, and grow together. It's great to see you all joining us today. And the Appwrite Hackathon is in full swing. We have $10,000 up for grabs and prizes, and the hackathons runs until June 14th. And we are excited to see the projects you guys will create. For those unfamiliar with Appwrite, it's an end-to-end backend service for web, mobile, native, or Flutter apps. And it simplifies many of the complex and routine tasks that go into building a modern app. And it's my pleasure to introduce Wes, the developer advocate from Appwrite. And let me pull you on stage. Hey,
There I
Wes.
am. Hi,
Oh,
hi.
yeah.
How are
How are
you?
you doing today?
Now that I figured out how browsers work, I'm doing pretty well. Can't complain.
Nice. All right, I'll pass you the words for the workshop and let you take it from here.
Sweet. And I apologize to the audience for having to deal with it. The nice intro that I got. My name is Wes Cope, also Wes Cope on Twitter, just Wes on GitHub, WESS. And I'm a full stack engineer at Appwrite. I also do a whole lot of other things, or try to do a whole lot of other things, in order to make things happen, make people understand how Appwrite works, what it is, where we're going with it, and all of those fun things. As you will learn, I also do have a YouTube channel called Fresh Full Stack. Say it 3 times fast. Fresh Full Stack, as well as twitch.tv/westcope, where every Tuesdays and Thursdays from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern Daylight Savings Time right now. I am building an application live and streaming unscripted and from scratch. As many people, if they do follow along or if they've seen it, I am not a scripted guy at all. So as our workshop goes through here, you will see that I'm going to kind of be playing, you know, let's just have a good time. Stop me, ask questions. I like people to interrupt me. I like people to distract me and heighten my ADD. To let me as we're going along. So if you see anything, if you have any questions, it could be about me, it can be about Appwrite, it can be about what we're building or anything like that, then by all means, let me know. Now, let me see. I've never used Restream before, so apologies there. And we're going to do the best that we can. So let's see if I can try to share my screen real fast. I'm going to give you guys an entire screen, like just for you. I'm doing this for you. Oh. How's this thing work? Can y'all see the screen? Everything good? Is it sharing? Because all I see is it on the back. I see the backstagey thing, but I don't see the me up there with the face of me. Good? No good? Don't see the screen yet. How do I move it off of the backstage? Or how do I add? Oh, add source.
I can see here there's a button close to your camera for share screen. Let me know
I
if
did
that
that.
works.
Hitting
And it's
that,
showing the screen for you or no?
selecting the first off, let's remove the audio tab. I don't need that. The entire screen. I'm selecting screen one, and I'm hitting share, and it
Yeah.
moves it onto my backstage, but I don't see it on here. Ah,
Okay.
boom.
Okay, let's
So Danny has the magic.
go.
All right, so let's roll through this. Let's get this going. Now, Chatright is kind of my go-to demo for the shorter workshops, the shorter presentations and things like that. And it used to be called Tessa Talks. Tessa is a DevRel lead over at the Appwrites, and I named it Tessa Talk because I was trying to come up with a demo to do, and she was the one talking to me when I came up with it. So as you can see, it's a follow-up to Tessa Talks. Now, I also like font really small. So if you can't see something, I'll give you one. You get one boost on the visuals. So here's the repository. You can go to the repository west/chatright, and you can see it and follow along there if you want to. I'm also going to be walking through this project and we're going to be running it. We're going to be talking about the different patterns that are being used. And the one thing that you'll notice during this presentation is I really don't talk a lot about Appwrite. Now, Wes, that's counterintuitive. This is a workshop for Appwrite. So why are you not talking about it? Well, so I was having a conversation yesterday we do office hours every Thursday on our Discord, and I also encourage you to join. And during that, I was explaining the difference between Appwrite and all the other things out there. And it dawned on me that Appwrite actually works very hard at being invisible. And what I mean by that is you just kind of know how to use it. It fits into where you need it. And as you will see, it lets you focus on all the important things like your user interfaces, your command line, whatever you're building it with. We have a plethora of SDKs that'll there we go. All right. Make sure you guys give me like a heads up or something if you can't hear me or if something goes awry. Because our Restream doesn't give me heads up like everything, like other things do. Anyhow, so in the audience, if you guys could throw me a thumbs up or okay, or Wes, you're doing horrible or something like that, just let me know real quick. Let's just do a quick tech check. Trademark. So can you see me? Can you see my screen? Okay, excellent. Thank you, Danny. Now, as I was saying, Appwrite, as I was having that conversation, it dawned on me that Appwrite is invisible, or its goal is to be invisible, which means you build everything and you don't even see it because the SDK fits so well into your workflows and your styles. And I have my own style, so the styles that you see here are not necessarily the official styles of Appwrite; they are the styles of mine, and therefore mine alone. I cannot be responsible, or Appwrite is not responsible for any poor style choices that I make. Now, let's just get into it. So first off, I created Wes a repo template called React Vite Appwrite. We're going to be using React. We're going to be using my provider pattern style thing, which is a weird wrapper to hooks. It's just hooks. We're going to be using Chakra UI because I'm lazy. And that's pretty much in Appwrite, of course. I mean, see, I'm not even talking about it. It's weird. So if you head over to github.com/WESS/react-vite-appwrite, you will see that all the boilerplate here, and I do the best that I can to keep this up to date. But throw it a star, bookmark it, whatever you want to. If you plan on doing some React apps, I plan on adding other templates too. Also, that's what I used to create Chatright. Let me get some things in order here. I don't like tabs out of order of what things I want to do. All right. So as you see, they're the same thing. I didn't even bother changing the README file. So we're going to go and switch over to VS Code, and I'm going to walk you through this project setup super quickly and want to stop intermittently for people who have questions. I guess you could just ask the questions directly in the little audience chat. That would be fine. And I will do my best to react and respond as quick as possible. Now, let's dive into said project. So here is Chatright. Chatright's no crazy architecture, really. I do, like I said, I use Chakra. Let's just dive into it. Whatever. So main is the quintessential diving endpoint. There's your HTML index file. This is all set up by Vite. It's including type as a module, and then it does a handoff to main.tsx. Also, I'm using TypeScript, which you probably guessed. All right. So now we are in main.tsx. As you see, there's nothing going on here, nothing crazy. And the reason is because, again, my style, but I just want to get out of main as soon as possible. This is really supposed to be the cleanest place ever. And so I'm going to dive in here, and we're bringing in React create root. And this is where So this is the connection from the front end to the main entrance to the application. Perfect. Now we're going to dive into, well, Wes, what are types? We got some types in here. I'm not going to dive too much into that. It's worth a Google. But it's just letting me be able to include things directly or import them and use them. That's from Vite, whatever Vite is. Now hooks I can dive into. Can you increase the font size? I gave you one. And you're asking for more. All right, just for you. Oh, it's so large and in charge. All right. We're going to go through the provider pattern. We're going to go through my style, my way of setting up things, so it's very easy to follow along with. I use this pattern not just for React. I use it for quite a few things, including some IoT stuff to do with Rust, for example. But I will give you a brief kind of quick walkthrough. Yes, you are welcome. But don't ask for any more font increases or else I'll start getting, I'm 43 years old, and keeping my font small makes me feel young at heart. Like my eyes aren't falling apart. So without further ado, hooks. So hooks, these are just shortcuts in the provider. We'll go into that. It's just making it so I have one place to export everything. We're going to start at the top, and actually let's jump right into providers. I'm going to jump around a little bit. Again, unscripted. Yes. All right. So if we go into index, you will see I have this, what I call the monster component. It's just every provider that I wanted to be able to. So hooks are available throughout the application. These are globally available hooks throughout the entire application. I do this. Some people like it. Some people don't. It's fine. Again, my style. So here we are rocking these flash provider, settings provider, session provider. Now, these are probably things that you can guess what they are. Now, the only one you'll notice that's not wrapped in the global piece here is form provider. And here's why. Form provider is used for wizards, as we called them back in the day, where it's like a form that spans across multiple, like a survey, or a form that spans across multiple things. Where that provider will allow you to accumulate the data across pages. And then you can, at the last page, you can say, does this look good? Confirm all this data. It pulls it out of the provider. It does it. When you hit save, it clears the provider out. Data's gone. But it allows us to have valid data throughout each page of the form. Multi-page form. Like I said, we used to call them wizards. Some of these providers aren't used as part of the boilerplate. The main one that we're going to be looking at really is this one right here. So this nice one is Appwrite's API. Now there's 1.5 billion ways to do this. This happens to be mine. Oh my gosh, there's a space there I don't need. So let's just walk through it. Again, if you, whatever level you're at, I'm going to try to cover it as fast as I can. So make sure you stop me with questions. Make sure you like throw your hands up in the air like you do care, and stop me from running my mouth so that I can answer your questions. I like to be interrupted just fine. Oh God, that's not spaced right either. So what we have here is, of course, we have import React because boilerplate. And then we go and we're going to import client, account, and databases from Appwrite. And then this is my project ID. Now, if we go over to, by the way, if you don't have Appwrite Cloud, go to appwrite.io, sign up for one. It's free beta. What to like about free. Now, I have lots of projects because I do quite a few, but here's our friend Chatright. Project ID, this is the Chatright project ID that goes right here. Have fun with it. I'm going to change it periodically now that I realize I've been saving it. Then we're going to create a new Appwrite API client. Yes, it is hilarious. And I've been using this a long time. It's fine. I haven't used it with Nux 3 yet. I've only ever, so I build things from scratch. I haven't dived into Nuxt or Next, honestly, as it's a little more framework than I wanted to, trying to keep everything kind of brass tacks or bottom level kind of basics put in place. But that's a good suggestion to make. I have, like I said, I have a YouTube channel, and I might be a good idea for me to do somewhere I compare these different frameworks and launching off point boilerplate killers and all the magic that's out there. So back to it. I created a new Appwrite client. I set my endpoint. I set my project ID, and then I create. This is a convenience thing, right? This is just a shortcut. I don't want to. So whenever I'm using a hook, I don't want to instantiate account over and over again. I use it a lot. I don't want to instantiate new databases over and over and over again. So I just need to do it once. First time that they're accessed, they're instantiated, then yay, they're added to the context. Here's the context we're going to create. The component, which is our simplified wrapper. I almost made a hip hop joke. And then client right there. And then we're just passing the children straight in because all we want to do is just keep on trucking. There's the hook itself and then the component. Boom. That's it. Flash is those little messages. Let's see if I can line up messages that pop up right on the top of your screen or somewhere that says, hey, good job, or oh no, something's wrong. So Flash provider is just a uniform message all the way across the board. So anytime an error comes up, I can drop it down from the top, or a success, I can drop it down from the top. Hey, you successfully logged in. Boop. And that's set Flash message. Now I do this a little bit differently, and only because I want to be able to do things. I'll go to what data is. Data is just a wrapper local storage for key value store. It's a temporary thing. And it was the quickest that I could get working. I know people love and hate local storage, but if you look here, I put underscore set Flash, and because I'm not going to use it directly. So I'm going to create my own set Flash where I'm going to delete the mess. If the message is null, I'm going to delete it from pending.flash inside the data store. And then I'm going to, if else, I'm going to set it to whatever pending flash is in the message. And then I'm going to call set Flash. And then the provider gets Flash and set Flash. So all I did was rename this so that I could call it in here and then gave it my own right there. And that's it. And then we're back to using wrapper. And then the consistencies are going to give me a headache. And then use Flash in the context and so forth. Again, form is just a key value store. Set values, get values. Preferences and use session is a wrapper to almost made another hip hop joke. Is a wrapper to Appwrite session. In which case, doing the exact same thing except for inconsistencies. I do like it at the end of it. So the beginning of it usually means it's private in some languages, but whatever. So we're gonna race through that. So anyways, delete it if it's there, and then I'm going to clear out the because if you don't have a session, I want all of your data gone. So I only use local storage for current situation. So as long as there's a session there, I'll persist some things for you. Like an example would be your theme, dark mode, light mode. I mean, really, I don't believe there's anything other than dark mode, but that's okay. And then also your menu. So if you have like the skinny menu on the side and then it expands and it collapses, I actually save that as your preference whenever it happens on some apps so that whenever you come and log back into it, it's how you left it. So that's what I think about when I think about a session for browser side or progressive apps. Now, same deal. There it is. Settings is just a wrapper to what I just said. Is it uses settings. So it's like an object that I can use to be able to have settings for your browser. How you want me to set things up for your current existence. Now you could do something really cool here where you could have a settings database or collection in Appwrite, and then you could sync up your settings, but I don't really even use it in this one for now. All right, so that is providers. Pretty straightforward. Questions, comments, concerns. If I'm going too fast, tell me to slow down. If I'm going too slow, tell me to speed up. Up next, we've got data. Data, like I said, in-memory storage or local storage. So if window is not defined for whatever reason you're using this, then we're going to fall back to memory store, which means it's not persistent-ish. Otherwise, here we go. Yeah. All right. It just switches between the two of them. Preferences is not used. Session is used. And look, I'm literally just naming it for convenience. So it's just extending the exact thing. And then settings, menu expanded. See, though, I would actually go in here and add the menus that I want to remember. I was talking about the skinny menu, I think skinny menu that expands and it can, in some UI do it. So I could also add in here your theme preferences. All right, that's the providers. That's that. Let's go to the router. Of course, you guys know how routers work, so I won't stay in here too long. And destinations checking if null. There's the null hook or the session hook right there. Pay forms. Forms are just here's the fields that I've built. So and the forms that we're using. So forms is your forgot password form, your index for all of those. It's just shortcutting. I think it's prettier to have an index that re-exports. I know some people do or don't like it, but I think it's pretty. Here's your person. And your form provider. I've done it twice now. Yes. So this was replaced with, I need to update the, I need to update the boilerplate because I actually moved this formally into providers and I just forgot to remove this one, but that's all right. Use form provider. And then register, same thing. It's just a form field. Are we going to do collect our data? You're in there. You're in there. You just don't like it. So, and I can prove it because here we go. So this is this. This is that and the other. So this is like a live chat. Hello, world. And there we go. So that's cool, right? Like we're totally using something. I was trying to figure out if there's a way that I could give you guys access to that chat. And I may have an idea if you guys want to give it a shot. Now, what I need to do is check this out. You might want to give this a try. Go to this URL. Now this is giant. Ignore the code side of it. Can you see that? I'm going to go to https://wess.ngrok.io. There it goes. I see you guys connecting to it. And then as soon as you join, just say something. There's a, can I post this somewhere where you guys can constantly see it? I have an idea. I have an idea. I don't know what's on my sticky. So, nope. These are not permanent. So I'm going to put a little sticky note up here where I can put some links. I can figure that out. Enough for you guys to see it. There, and I'll leave those at the bottom. Oh, hey. Hi. Oh, there we go. It's live, unscripted, and fun. Now, let's dive into the properties of it. Y'all are welcome to use the chat room. We'll put it to the paces. We've gone through forms, we've gone through data, we've gone through provider, we've gone components are just shorthand things that I've done to things and other things. So I wanted a quick empty, I wanted a quick dialogue. Again, I won't go through each one of these one at a time because I want to be able to get to, yeah, I can restart you. Yo, if you dive into the components, if you're a React person or not, or what have you, then go to the repo template and you can dive into the boilerplate, make pull requests, what have you. I just wanted to make something very easy for us to get started with. Now, out of there, out of there, out of here. Gone router, gone themes, just theme. Assets, just assets. These are actually no assets. Components, shortcuts, forms, pages, apps. So before we get into pages, let's go through apps real fast. That's a lot, Wes. Yes, it is. So here's the thing. There's nothing really in here too much. A lot of important stuff. Here is the coup de grace, the actual launching point for the application. Main hands it off to this. And I could also use main for other things like analytics or anything if I wanted to, but ignore my ARIA killer. So suspense, because I'm loading stuff that's reacting. Color mode script. This is all part of Chakra provider with a theme. The theme is that little guy right here. Fixes our global CSS things that I want to happen. That provider that I showed you that had all the providers in it, that's that. And then everything else is wrapped in the Chakra provider, wrapped in suspense, which is neat. And then we're out. That's it. It's done. We're out of the main index. So good night, everybody. Have a great day. Thank you. I'm just kidding. And then we're going to jump into layouts. Layouts is a little cool thing that I like to call cool things. So I created a layout. It's one solid layout. It has the flash in it. It's super fast. The close button. So when the alert pops up at the top, that's here. Everything gets it. And then I can wrap every single UI in the entire application in just this one index.tsx file under layouts. And then this one magic piece right here determines what the body or the innermost awesomeness is. So if you log in and you have a valid session, and let's go find our hook. There it is right there. We're just timing out. I think I like that better as one. I don't know why it's being read. It's just angry. It's just so angry. It's because I wrapped it. I got it. But you know what? You work. It's not too complex. You just stop being weird. So a session equals null. If you're not a valid user, I'm going to take you to the landing page, which is logging in and register, which if many of you came to ngrok.io, you would have hit so that you could log in and say hi. And then if you are a valid user, it's going to give you the user layout. Now, the beauty of this is I always redirect back to the root index because I let the code tell me where to go. Now, if you go to here, boop, it's just a simple wrapper is what you're looking at. And then the nav is also here. We haven't gotten it. This is upcoming. This is the lightweight version of Chatright. And just to get some ideas out there, the landing page is the same kind of setup. Navigation's at the top instead of at the side. So now pages, which is the real thing that everybody wants. So we're just doing a re-export because, like I said, they're pretty. Landing page is just that. It's a landing page. It's just being angry about everything today. I know I need to update my TS config file to make it not angry. Here's your router, your routes. So register our index. Index is sign in. But remember, it won't even go here if your session is valid. So app is going to kick it immediately off to wherever it needs to go. But there's the router. So the router, that's what I meant. Leave me alone. If you come in here, you'll see that it checks the session to get your destination. If your session is null, we're going to kick you to the landing page. If it's valid, we're going to sit you to the chat page. Now, that's said and done. We're out of here. We're out of here. Index landing. Here we go. This is just a sub router. It says I'm going to take you to register, and login is the root. So let's start talking, make things pretty. You guys already saw that when you logged in. But the most important piece of the pie, I'm really getting irritated by VS Code's erroring out on me. Oh, look, coding pastor. Hi, hello. Yes, we can use Chatright because I can't just write little one-handed comments into the audience chat. God, sometimes. All right. Now, ignore the errors. It's just, I don't know why it's being so weird. I think the TS config file is off somewhere. I fixed it and forgot to push it. We're going to deal with it. Now, if I go over to Appwrite Cloud, go to appwrite.io, sign up for your free beta cloud account get it while it's hot. I got example and I got general. General is what I use for collecting everything, messages, and there's all your messages. All right. So we got collection ID. And so I created that database. If I want to go into messages, I can go look at attributes. And you can see I created an attribute for user, which is required, messages required, and create. Now, I actually don't need this. We do that for you. But at a previous conference I was talking about, I added it. And now if I remove it, it'll break. So there. If I create an attribute, I can give it a name like Danny, and they have no type awesome. But if we had a type awesome Danny, it would be awesome. Attribute type would be awesome. So there we go. Now, let's get back to the code. Importing all the things. Here's Appwrite's ID and query. It's good times. Use session, use API. Those are my hooks. There's my database ID, also needs to be removed. There's my message ID. Then we get into, actually, I can set permissions. Anyway, this one runs on localhost anyways. So user, set user, we're going to do a little magic here. Messages, set messages, pending messages, set pending messages, use API. Scroll to bottom. Let's just stick this thing to the bottom, trying to keep it smooth. Get the user. We're going to await API.account. Again, this is just calling Appwrite. This is the only place I've used. This is the first time in the last hour-ish that I have talked about Appwrite, because remember what I said? At the end of the day, in my heart, I know that Appwrite is really working hard to be invisible because it stays out of your way and it's just there if you need it. It's like a good friend. So here's get user function. It's asynchronous. And then we're going to set the local user. If not, we're going to make sure that session is null. Sending a message, if pending message is equal to 0 or it's empty, we're just going to return. We don't want to do anything if you just keep hitting the send button empty. That was a bug when we were at ViewConf with Tesla Talk, is you could keep hitting empty sends and it would basically DOS my little local. And then we're going to create the document with the database ID, message ID. We're going to create a unique ID instead of giving it a custom ID. And we're going to pass in the user so that the remember the properties. Here, let's get, there's that user message created. All right. And then we're going to call await get messages, because what we want to do is once we've sent a message, we want to get the message again. So our message. Now I could have taken our message and just when you typed in a message and send, just smashed it onto the bottom of it and put it there. But I didn't like that because I actually wanted it to me, it gave validation that it's sent successfully whenever it reloads and comes up at the bottom. It means that I sent it to the server correctly, because otherwise you could type a message. If your internet connection dropped, you'd be like, where is it? I don't know. Get messages here. We're going to do limit of, we're going to do a limit of 100. We're going to order by, this is our query piece. So all of our documentation is very easy to find. API, appwrite.io/docs, databases, boop. And if you need a little extra help, attributes, access control, creating a document, query for stuff. I mean, it's really cool, right? It's so simple. Comes back as an object. Look, learn more about, I mean, right when you need answers, we're right there with you, even in our documentation. Now, so these are our query, order, offset, so forth. Messages is this little right here. And then get messages. We're going to query for those messages. Now, listen, I know I don't have to do it this way, but whenever I do things, say what? Can you say it once more? Say what once more? Did I miss something? iCoder dev? Let me know what you want me to say again, and I'll say it again. I do things overly verbose whenever I'm doing these talks because it makes it a lot easier to break it out into the pieces, to talk about each part of it. I very easily could have just not done any of this, but I wanted you to see, when the list comes back from me getting a list of documents, it's the list that's returned. So it's a list, document list type that has some metadata in it, like how many you have and such counts and things like that. But it also has a list of documents, which is documents. And then I wanted to map each one of them. This is really the main reason I wanted to, even though it may not be the format that you like. So, but here's the, yeah, so I could do day.js, but the rest of these I kind of could have left there and just appended it. But it's also, you can see me creating each of the objects. And then I'm just basically taking the messages that currently exist and I'm adding the incoming messages to it. Yes. Then we're going to create an asynchronous function for our effect, which is we're going to get the user. If the message length is 0, we're going to get messages. If api.client.subscribe documents, this is cool. So for this demonstration, I subscribe. This is our real-time API. And I subscribe to all documents because I really only have one collection of one collection. So I'm going to describe every time there's a document change. So every time one is added, removed, or whatever, in this case, just added, I'm going to call get messages. This every single time. I don't need to await it. It can finish whenever it's ready. And then I'm going to make sure that after I call it, I'm going to scroll to bottom. So every time the first thing I want to do when this loads up, as soon as all of the UI and everything is registered and all these magic things happen, and I'm subscribed, after I subscribe and that goes through, then I want to scroll to bottom so to make sure that you stay there right on them. And then I'm just, boom, there it is. And guess what? If the user is equal to null, it's going to try to load the user. But we really never hit that because it's actually pretty fast. And then, oh my gosh, that's it. That is all. So we have all, I mean, what is it? We were allocated till 12 my time, 12 Eastern Daylight Savings Time, but there's really not that much more to it. You could have used 1,000 different UI frameworks. You could have done a command line interface, what have you. But all I'm doing is a table view or table. Sorry, old mobile guy. A send button, a text box, scroll to bottom, and a basic layout. Look, I can even scroll up and look. So I don't have to. I didn't have to do any back end work at all. Nothing. And I barely had to do anything here. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 3. I called Appwrite 3 times, 3 lines of code, basically, in this whole thing. And then I had to do all this UI work. So there you have it. I'm not really sure what else to talk about now. Do I have any questions, comments? You can use chat right to ask. You can use, there it is right there. You can use the chat there. What questions do you have for me? Yes, share your questions for Wes right there. Also, while we're waiting for questions, I forgot to add one here. Whoa. There we go. So every Tuesdays and Thursdays from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern Daylight Savings Time, I live stream building a photo sharing app called Pluck from scratch. And we're actually going to put it up so people can use it. And Steven had a question. How do I go about designing my database schema? So there really wasn't if you're talking about architecture, or you mean adding it, creating it. If I go into, we'll create here, I click create a new collection, other messages. I can give it my own ID if I want to, or I can have one generated. I'm gonna let it randomly generate because it's easier. I then hit create. And then here we are. And then I created my attributes. Now for this demonstration, I very easily just did a name, a message, and a created. Again, created wasn't really needed, but you could extend this to have image URLs, avatars, any kind of thing that you wanted to be more like your Discords and your Slacks and all the other ones out there. But for this demonstration, to keep it very simple, I only added 3 attributes. But if you look, we have tons of attributes you could use, even for validation. If I wanted to store somebody's email, IP address, URL, enumeration or enum options, integers, floats, they're all here. Then we can also query those just like you would a regular database. And that's really the gist of the schema. Now, why I came up with the schema that I did for documents, for messages, is because it was just easy. I also made sure to index a couple of things created and created at so that I could sort by them. Here's all my activity. I can see all the people that are doing all the magics, the usage, which is really nice to see. Some great stats here to see how the databases and the documents are doing. And of course, settings where I can mess with my permissions. Add security to it, which is really cool, by the way, which I haven't seen a lot of on other things. Now, I could also go to and add custom functions. So if I wanted to have an endpoint that was triggered when certain things happen, for example, on the front end, if you said the word, I don't know, rhinoceros, then an automatically an alert would fire off a function that would do something with rhinoceri. Is it rhinoceri? Rhinoceroses? Or if I wanted to add different all. So this is one of my all-time favorite features, and only because I've been writing code for 25 plus years, and I've written more user authentication services and systems than I would ever like to talk about ever again. And it gives me, it just gives me the shakes thinking about it. Also shows users, security. I can limit to how many users I want, session length I want. It's very granular. And then this is the cool part. though I haven't coded for it, I can do a magic URL, a phone, anonymous, uh, JSON web token, team invites, but I can also add all of these alts. So if I want you to log in with Spotify, if I want you to log in with Tradeshift, Yahoo, Yammer, Facebook, GitHub, you name it, and we're adding more constantly. Amazon's nice. So, and then all you do is whenever you do it, hey, I'm going to add it. It's going to say enter your app ID that you create on. See, look, we are there for you every step of the way with links to the documentation. Doop. Safari feature. And then I can go here to get my keys that I need, and we're off to the races. You can log in with Amazon. Again, haven't coded for the intents of the purpose of this chat app. It was the quickest demo to get everybody familiar with real time and with registration, the basics, super basics. Buckets as well. So I can go in here and create a bucket. Now, our storage for files, pictures, and so on can be backed up by local file storage. It can be backed up by S3, Wasabi. If I'm forgetting any, let me know. There's a bunch of them. Appwrite.io, jump into the docs, and you can see all the various ones that we have. Or just click documentation here because, again, we're right here for you. Now, when I go to create a bucket, I give it a name, bucket, for demonstration purposes. Oh, I don't want to create a file. I want to go to usage. Nope. Cool. Now I come into bucket. I can add my permissions here for what I want to do with this. Select teams, select users, custom permissions. Oh, look, we're there for you again. And then going into files, going into overview, back to overview. Again, if you go to right at the bottom of the screen down here, you'll see I did the Twitch link every Tuesdays and Thursdays. I am for Appwrite, building basically like an Instagram clone from scratch and unscripted. And hello, I am a front-end developer and would love to know if I am qualified to join the hackathon. I think everybody's qualified to join the hackathon. Is it too late? Oh, that was cool. I would need to. I have to ask. I honestly, I've been pulled all over the place. Not late. They can participate until June 14th. Yeah, so you have till June 14th. Everyone can join. June 14th apparently is the cutoff date. So that's exciting to know. Thank you, Danny. All are welcome. So, other questions, comments, concerns? You want to ask questions about me? You want to ask about Appwrite? There's a company. I do my best to answer any and everything that you can throw at me. I mean, we got 50 minutes, so make it good. Also, excuse the red squiggly lines; they're making me angry. So I'm gonna. All good, everyone. Oh, you know what, Stephen? I love you. You're monitoring everything as usual. You could store JSON in the database, right? You could store JSON anywhere you wanted to. It's just an encodable. It's a string to not string to one form to another. Now, a formal JSON field, there is not. I guess you could use, but you. I mean, it is JSON already. So, but schema, attributes. See what we got. So, now I will give you a heads up that there are some attributes on your self-hosted version. Self-hosted version is a few versions ahead of cloud, and obviously we do that for stability purposes and also long-term support. But if you were going to store something as JSON, you would just encode it and store it. Having a formal JSON type, I don't even know if that's on the radar. Steven can throw his hand up if he wants to throw in a quick message for a hand up. But I haven't seen it. What you can do is you can go to github.com/appwrite and go to our issues, do a quick search for JSON in database. If not, create one. We love issues. We love, tracking stuff down. We are 100% open source. So everything that we do is all out there. So take a look at it, see if it's there. But like I said, if you go to the documentation and look, and that's the main thing of what I'm trying to do, is make sure we stay at the databases. You'll see that there's no attribute formerly called JSON or JSON or whatever you guys want to call it. Oh, tell about myself. All right. Give you the quick rundown. I am a programming language enthusiast. I've been writing code since I was 8 years old on a Commodore 64 in the grand old age of, or in the year of 1988. I have since then been programming, currently at 18 programming languages that I have studied and learned. And I've worked for Fortune 50 companies like Amazon. I was an Apple contractor, and all the way down to having my own startup that I built and sold. And then coming to Appwrite because I was trying to do some IoT stuff and was asking questions in their Discord. Next thing I know, I work here. I was a radio DJ a long time ago while I was going through school. I am a Special Forces Air Force soldier. That's kind of it. Did I miss anything? I installed Linux in 1998 on a Packard Bell with a turbo button, and that was the last time that I ever used Windows. I switched over to Mac OS only because under the hood it's still Unix, BSD, and I have a terminal, but it's very pretty. And that's about it. I'm with Appwrite is slowly getting me more involved in doing the video streaming and all of that thing, which is a blast. So I always encourage people to come join and participate. Yes, 18. So I study languages. I study programming languages down to the grammars. I got my whole career in the computer software engineering world started because I was a contributor to a project called prototype.js. So I actually started my career in open source. I think it's still 18. Yeah. Well, there we go. No more questions. I'll give you guys 13 minutes of your life back. You can also join the Appwrite Discord and send me a message. I am Wes on there as well. Send me a message on there, and I'll be more than happy to do whatever I can to help you out and do it. And with Appwrite or with programming in general, I'll do, or with your hackathon, if you got questions or want to bounce some ideas off of me, again, join the Appwrite Discord. Go to appwrite.io and join our Discord. Send me a message and say hello. And friend me, follow me on Twitter. It's Westcope on Twitter or on GitHub and all the different places. Again, Twitch every Tuesday and Thursday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern Daylight Savings Time. You can join me as I live stream unscripted and from scratch, building Pluck.io, a photo sharing app. And without any further questions, thank you so much for having me, Danny. Thank you so much for inviting me to your hackathon and letting me participate. I had a great time. I love questions. I love that you guys are trying the chat out, and I appreciate you putting up with my antics. Oh, wait. What's the learning curve if one is coming from Firebase? Oh, I like the learning curve question. That's a new one. So before I came to Appwrite, I was trying Firebase. I am an old man. I don't like having to do it the Firebase way. So to me, there is no learning curve with the Appwrite because, again, I don't know a better way to say it except for Appwrite is invisible. So you just use the SDK. It fits into whatever you need it to fit into. There's no, I call it the Hayukin of programming, where it goes like this. So I would say that there's little to know if you're coming from Firebase. It actually might be a breath of fresh air because it fits into how you already do things instead of you having to learn a whole different style or a whole different way of doing things. And that's my opinion. So I like how you got that question right under the wire. Same with Supabase, by the way. All right. Well, we'll try it again. Without any further ado, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for having me at the hackathon. And again, Appwrite Discord, join it. Send me a message. I am Wes. You can also join me, Steven, who is right there in the chat. Steven, and a few others on best IDE for programming, Vim. I use VS Code because we use it at work and it's nice enough. And I got Vim bindings on it. But at the end of the day, I do a lot in Vim. I use spaces and I only use 2 of them. So I write linters so that whenever I work somewhere that uses for and tabs, that it converts it automatically. Oh, and also y'all can see my pretty sign for Appwrite. Are you guys going to sneak in another question when I try to do my cool closing with my radio voice? Are you going to do that again? I mean, it's fine. Just give me a heads up. Steven's having office hour flashbacks. All right. Here's your links. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining. Thank you for the questions.
It's
How
a
can we
great
get one? You
question. How
can't.
can we
Hard
get
no.
the neon lights? I was wondering about the same thing. That's a cool one.
Uh, I'm not the. That's above my pay grade, as they say. I just get the swag and enjoy it. Oh, there we go.
Okay.
How can we get
All right.
so?
Thank you, Wes.
I like how it forms a heart behind my head.
It
Look.
does.
Actually, if you scroll to the bottom of Appwrite.io, we do have a swag store, so you can
There's
buy
some
stickers,
cool swag.
or come to one of the events. I'll give you stickers. At the end of May, I will be at Render ATL doing
Nice.
a really long session on building the same chat room, but a way more involved kind of deal. And again, building a full blown production ready application every Tuesdays and Thursdays. That's kind of a big deal right now for me because I want everybody to see that Appwrite's not just for like tinkering and stuff. Africa, that's one place I want to go visit. It's on my bucket list.
Anyone have any other questions for Wes as we're still on?
Oh, that's little me back there too.
I love that.
And then my 1990s
Okay.
printer.
All right. Uh, Thank you, Wes,
Well,
for the
awesome.
workshop.
Well,
That was awesome. Loved it.
thank you
And
so much
glad
for
you had
having
the
me.
time to share that knowledge with us. And okay, guys, let me see where I can. Okay. So thank you all for joining us today. It was a really great session. The session will remain available in our YouTube channel. Huge shout out to Wes, his big neon lights and his mini hymn in the background there. That was awesome. And he gave us a bigger and deeper understanding on how to build the app right. Hope that was useful for you guys. And as we draw this workshop to a close, I would like to remind everyone that Appwrite Hackathon is in full swing until June 14th, so you have until then to submit your projects. And it's a great opportunity for you all to apply what you have learned today, build something cool, something innovative, and potentially take home a share of the $10,000 in prizes. And thank you once again for joining us. Happy hacking and looking forward to seeing all your projects. Goodbye and see you guys very soon. Hope to see you guys in Hashnotes Discord and also in Appwrite's Discord. Bye, everyone.